Okay, this is Aaron again with Exalted Lamb 1, and I have my latest and greatest possibly video ever because it's probably will be my last video. Um, Most likely because this time of the year for the last 3 or 4 years has been the most possible for me in my mind. And now this year being 2026, I'm super excited because I finally think, well, I'm pretty sure we're here. So again, it's always my best guess, but I think we're finally here and I'm excited. So I probably are going to give you about a fifth of what I have. It's been kind of overwhelming because I have stuff that is just monumental, really, but I want to go on a particular way of sharing this. So on a particular track or a particular trail. So I'm going to do it that way. So without any further ado, let's go. I am Exalted Lamb 1 on Telegram, but the Exalted Lamb 1 on YouTube. My motto has always been having no part in the worthless deeds of darkness, but instead exposing them. Ephesians 5:11. And as the Lord Jesus is my personal friend and mentor and Lord and master, which is a weird, unusual comment or unusual idea for the Western mind and most Christianity, as I like to call him, Chris and Dumb and Dumber. It's essential that you make him your master, not just know him as an idea or as a savior possibly, but you have to follow him. And as a result of following him about 20 some years ago, deciding to follow him exclusively, he put me through this crazy funnel and funneled me down to this eventually, where he said, I need you to start sharing with people about these things that are coming. And that was 10.5 years ago. And I got dreams and visions of the things in the future that would happen to the United States. And he told me that United States was Mystery Babylon. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there are going to question things I'm sharing and all that, and that's fine. Take it with a grain of salt, whatever. But when a lot of these things happen, because I know Jesus very well, and I've experienced these incredible dreams and visions, and I'm sharing a lot of things based on a lot of the, like predictive programming stuff, which I'm going to get into in just a second, my definition of it, and the things I've experienced, and the things that I can see in predictive programming in the mass media. It's most of these things are inevitable. It's just a matter of time. So let's keep going here. So predictive programming, my definition, is a subtle form of psychological conditioning woven into the fabric of all mass media, designed to subconsciously program and or consciously acquaint the public with pre-planned societal changes, ideas, or events. These changes, ideas, or events eventually become reality, largely because the public over time has already become programmed and or familiarized with them, accepting them as natural progressions, thus eliminating virtually all possible public resistance, commotion, or investigation. Except for a few of you out there that are, looking into the truth and are finding the truth, and usually maybe the spirit of truth, Jesus, who knows? Hopefully you know him. And what's coming, one of the things that's coming, as on my thumbnail here, is the attack on USS Abraham Lincoln and the absolute destruction and sinking of USS Abraham Lincoln. And I had a dream about this about 7 years ago. I started doing my YouTube channel, and then I had a dream. And I'll just tell you quickly about it. I was in a big ship. I didn't know where. I was down inside where these, you see these, portholes, and you could see, the next doors that, look like big ovals kind of things and all that. And I was a sailor, and I was like, and I didn't think anything of it. I was a sailor, or something like that, whatever. And I was going through this, doing something. Someone was saying something. And then all of a sudden we heard these big loud sirens, brr, 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 whatever they were. And I was like, what the heck? And then people were saying, we're being attacked. And I was like, started running, and everybody was running. And it was just, and then the thing just started shaking. What I was in, I didn't know what I was in. Had no idea. I know it was some kind of big ship. And we were running, and I was going down to this ladder and stuff. And then I turned and going into a different direction. And people are just going all over the place, running, screaming. I heard all kinds of, some women and some men yelling, screaming, and all that stuff. And then I turned into this one particular room, and I saw like a statue kind of thing of Abraham Lincoln. And I was like, what the heck? And then I realized it's something to do with Abraham Lincoln, but I didn't know. And then I eventually realized we were sinking and water was coming in. And then I woke up and I was like, what the heck? And then, so anyway, then years later, I heard that Trump, who had just been the newer president, he said that he was going to not decommission the Abraham Lincoln, and he was going to they were going to re-outfit it or something like that. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to think about that. And then I started following the what was going on with it and all that kind of stuff, and seeing all this predictive programming, and then realizing stuff in movies and TV and all kinds of stuff, predictive programming of the thing that I experienced in a sense as like a sailor on the Abraham Lincoln or whatever they're called, a crewman or whatever you call it. And then I was like, and then so I started looking into it even more and seeing that this thing is coming, and I put in my timeline, which is pinned to the top of comments, possible another one that might be the Truman, but it hasn't left Norfolk, Virginia, I believe, yet. And it might not be this one, but it was my best guess. And there might be another one, and maybe even the Queen Elizabeth, HMS Queen Elizabeth, possibly as well. So I'm just seeing a lot of predictive programming. So I'm sharing with you the things that I know from looking at the predictive programming in movies and TV and all that stuff. And again, this will be in my description box. My whole timeline of events will be pinned to the top of comments on this video. So, and let's get into the Rule of Kal-El real quick, because I'm going to talk about it and use it a little bit here. The Rule of Kal-El is a Freemasonry rule. The Kabbalistic Rule of Kal-El states that one digit can be added to or subtracted from the gematria value of a word without affecting its value. This seems to modern ears to be a cheat. However, the Kabbalists explain the rule by pointing out that for them, one was not a number. The monad symbolizes the divinity and could come and go as he pleased, adding nothing and taking nothing away. And as Shakespeare refers to this concept in his sonnets when he writes, among a number one is reckoned none. So, and then you can read the rest here. There's some different things in a couple books that refer to this particular rule, okay? And then there's also a few other rules. Some I won't share right here, but maybe eventually I'll talk about in the video here. I don't know. But some basic ones. For example, 4 is hiding 9, and 9 is hiding 4. And as you can see, 4 upside down and backwards is hiding 6. And everybody knows, for the most part, that 9 upside down and backwards is 6, or 6 upside down and backwards is 9. Sometimes you have a line under one of them so you know which direction it is if you can turn something upside down and backwards. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. So this is a massive thing that I've just finally, this last year, I've just settled on that this is exactly what's happening. And then I've known for several years now, that 0 is hiding O, and O is the 15th letter of the alphabet, or 1 plus 5 is 6. Okay, and so like when you say, I'm going to go to English 101, it should be 101, but all of us, for the most part, have been programmed to 101. I didn't ever say it because I always said it correctly. I would say 101, or, one of the area codes in Colorado is 303 for the Denver area. Denver Metro, whatever, 303. People say 303. I would always say 303. I'd tell people my number, 303, blah, 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 whatever. And then I'm just that way, but most people will say O, and I'm like, okay, it's not an O, but they just, because it's been said in the media for so long, because it's programming you. Okay, that's what programming on TV is doing, is programming you. And when you spell something, it's casting a spell on you. That's what English does. And English is coordinated with, and certain letters are coordinated with the numbers. So these are the numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, and them upside down and backwards. So 1 upside down and backwards is 1, 2 upside down and backwards is still 2, 3 upside down and backwards is E, and 4 like this, closed, is upside down and backwards 6, as you can see. 5 upside down and backwards is still 5. So 2, 3, and 5 are the same. And that's for a number of reasons. And we know 6 upside down and backwards is 9. Most people know that. But 7 upside down and backwards is L. And the reason I'm using this is because ultimately I've learned that the demonic forces that are behind people that program people, the Kabbalists and everything, and the elite that program people, and all the demons and stuff that program or work through people in art and in mass media and stuff. And a lot of people don't even realize what they're being moved by, or completely, maybe it's to a degree, or maybe it ranges quite a bit. They're being kind of indoctrinated into these ideas, and then they're programming everybody else. So again, 7 is L, 8 is still 8, obviously, 9 is 6, or 6 is 9, and then 0 is O. Oh, it could still be zero. Zero could still be zero. Zero could be zero. It could be nothing, or it can be O, which is 15th letter, or 1 plus 5 is 6. And in weird cases, it can be 1 from 5 is 4, but I don't get into that right now. Okay, so anyway, so you get the idea here that this is called a 9-segment digital numeric system here. A 9-segment. There's 9 segments. So you have 7 all the way around. These are 7 that make an 8, and then you have 1 right here angled here, and 1 right here angled there, like that and like that. Okay, and that's a 9-segment because there's 9 digits. I mean, there's technically a 0, but there's 9 numbers. So anyway, that is really what they've, demonic forces have designed, and then they're hidden. These are all hidden. This idea of these upside down and backwards, and this hidden language upside down and backwards, and what's basically predictive programming you into a future events that are going to basically change everything into one world government, one world religion, one world dictator, the Antichrist, and all that stuff. And it's all about programming you to those things without knowing that it's in front of you. It's upside down and backwards. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So that's how this stuff works. It's just what it is. And this is the Kabbalists and Kabbalists, or whatever you call them, they run the world. I mean, this idea, this is all in everything that we see and even hear, music and everything. It's all part of it. So I shared in my last video this idea and how this works. And I even showed it how Elvis's death equals his birth equaled his death, upside down and backwards. And even Prince, the entertainer Prince, his birth upside down and backwards was his death, and his death upside down and backwards was the death of the Antichrist. And that still holds true. I'm not going to get into explaining that, but this system still works. It's just a matter of some little tweaks, because these things can be multiple dates, but not a ton of things, but they can be multiple things. And I'm going to show you this for example. This is what I had as the possible thing for last time, but now I'm going to go through and show you what I think it is now. Okay, so we have the subject, for example, a word like Iran. And these things are designed from years and years and years ago when they first came up with the words. Like there's a Arabic word for Iran, and that's all in that language. But in English, we came up with the word Iran. And you ever notice that a lot of the countries, they're a different name than what English call them for something? And sometimes they're very different, extremely different. And because they just make it up to fit what they need it to fit numerically and predictive programming wise and all that. So Iran, for example, like I ran so far away. No, anyway, Iran is I is 9, R is 18, A is 1, N is 14. That's an English ordinal, because A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. And then in reverse English, I is the 18th, going from Z and going backward. I is the 18th letter, R is the 9th, A is the 26th, obviously going backwards, and then N is the 13th. So keeping that in mind, any word, you take it like that, and then you flip the whole thing upside down and backwards. Okay, so, and I color-coded these, for example. So, for example, you have this. So you have 1 goes up here, and then the 4 upside down and backwards, like I said, becomes a 6. You can see how that becomes a 6. 6 and 8 is 14. 1 and 1 is 2, and then you bring up the 6. That's 1, 14, 26. But I was thinking that something did happen on the 14th, and I'm going to tell you it had to do with Iran. It was big, which has to do, all these things have to do with what's going to happen to cause not only World War III, but also to install, to not only, well, eventually that births the Antichrist, a process that kills the Antichrist and then rebirths the Antichrist into a new world system. Okay, and that's what this stuff's all about. It's in the original programming of these words and the words that we look at every day and the things that we read every day and all that stuff. It's a system, it's a worldwide systemization of lies and error and programming to eventually everyone come to a place where we're in a technocracy controlled by one entity, which is the Antichrist, possessed by Satan. Okay, that's just what it is. That's the truth. If you don't believe that, I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. And then, so right here, 1 is 1, and then 9 plus 6 plus 8 is 23, and then 2, bring that down, and then E, 3 upside down and backwards is E. You see how that's an E? E and 1, 5 plus 1 is 6 right there, boom. So I had this originally, but then now I know, I think, why this is what it is. So 1, 14, 26, see how they're both 26. They're both January. They're both 14 and 14th and the 23rd. That's crazy. Or 1 plus 4 is 5 and 2 plus 3 is 5. And in fact, iPad Goat, the maker of iPad Goat, Heliofont, put out 10 videos, really odd videos, and I broke those down last couple videos ago, a video ago, whatever it was. And they released that 1-5-26. So there's 1-5 and there's 1-5 because 2 plus 3 is 5, 1 plus 4 is 5. Because it's ultimately some other things. And I'm going to share with you what I think it is. So right here you see 114. So what happened on 114? Well, again, having to do with Iran. Trump feels obligated to take action on Iran as administration weighs risk of blah, blah, blah. Okay, of war and all that stuff. Okay, in a message to Truth Social's Tuesday morning, Trump encouraged protesters to keep up the demonstration and said, "Help is on the way. Help is on the way, dear. Help is on the way." Oh, wait, that's what I thought of, and it literally equals Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm not going to get into anything about that. Most people couldn't handle how Trump relates to Mrs. Doubtfire. Anyway, you can't handle the truth. Anyway, I'm gonna okay, and then look right here, 123. A lot of outlets reported. This is one of them. On the 23rd, Trump sends USS Abe Lincoln carrier group to Middle East to keep Iran honest. And then they said, "Oh, it happened about a week ago from here, whatever, and all that." And many reported on this day, on this date. So, because it's significant, it's built into the word Iran upside down and backwards. Now we keep going here. So we have 1 plus 14 is 15, and then we still have 26. And then, so you may be wondering why that is. Well, you don't need a month, you just need the day of the year. So the 15th day of year 26, again, 2026, but the 15th day of 26 is January 15th, obviously. So how does that relate to Iran and even what's coming? Well, again, the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group began its movement towards the Middle East around January 15th. And they say 62, but I know it's the 15th because when Trump was talking on the 14th, like I show you right here, 14th, then they were called out on the 15th. And I know from a couple other things, but I'm going to leave it at that. I could show it like a ton of things on most things, but it's crazy. And South China Sea literally equals that as well, but I'm not going to get into that. Okay, and then let's go down here. Okay, but actually, we're taking that away. Now we're going to color code these differently, right here and right here. So we're going to color code those right there. So in this way, we're going to go 1 plus 1 is 2. Well, let's go down here. Sorry. Color code this is 2 down, 1 plus 3 is 4, and then 26. So 2, 4, 26, or 1 plus 1 is 2 again, and 4, 26. See, these are the same. Well, because there's something there. Okay, so it's either this or something else. Now, there's very possible that when I'm putting this out, it's the evening of January 31st, and in about 5 days, roughly, we're going to hear some news possibly that on 2/4, either Iran did a preemptive strike on the United States or whatever, or most likely that the United States is going to do something against Iran. It could go either way. It's hard to say. There's going to be a tit for tat for starting soon, okay? And we'll see how that works out. But it's going to be by the numbers. And whatever they are, it's going to be by the numbers. Everything they do is by the numbers. It just is, because that's their religion. They believe they are Kabbalists, and the demons behind them are Kabbalah. They believe in Kabbalism, and they believe in the power of the number in the letter. So they will. So anyway, whatever that is. And then now we have, if we highlight these, so let's go back here, like what I had here. Oops, this way, sorry. So we had 2/4/26. Now that's a date, and then we'll see what happens then. But then we have a date, which I know for sure, known by history and things I've talked about, that we'll have something, if this is the timeline, we'll have something on the third day, which is 4 plus 2 plus 6. Again, we're highlighting the same color of 4, 2, and 6. So we have 2 is in February. 4 plus 2 plus 6, or 4 plus 2 plus 6, down here is 12. So 2/12 is the third day. I'm going to show you the timeline in a second. But the first day, the pre-day is 2/9. The first day is 2/10. And then, but by the way, before the pre-day of 2/9 is the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is 2/8. And I'm going to get into that in a second. But so then we're going to have what I've been saying for years is on the third day that because of things going on back and forth, or a couple tit for tats back and forth, they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz, and they're going to literally, Iran's going to close that oil passage that, I'll show it in a second here, and close it off, and that's going to cut off the oil worldwide to a huge degree. Not everything, but it's going to massively affect this country, the United States, and other countries. Anyway, and that's shown in iPad Go, and I'll show it in a second. But that's on 2/12, and it's going to be reported on 2/13. So there's 2/12. Okay, now, boom. And by the way, that's Abe Lincoln's birthday, 2/12, back in 1809. And is that a coincidence that we're talking about the USS Abraham Lincoln, and then we have Abraham Lincoln's birthday just a little bit past when it was called out there? No, this is all planned. Like I said, what are the chances of that? No, there's no chance. And then that same day is the 43rd day, like George W. Bush is the 43rd president with 322 days left. 322 Skull and Bones. And there's going to be attacks. There's going to be different things. There's going to be nukes going on in Ukraine's, because Zelensky and Putin are both versions of 322. I've covered that for years. There's a lot of things. You can look at the 3rd and 4th day, the 43rd and 44th day, and you'll see in my timeline. Okay, so for example, this is depicting the 3rd and 4th day, and a few other things too, but because iPad Go, it's a 7-minute animated movie made by Heliofont. There's no iPad Go 3 or iPad Go 1 or iPad Go 4. There's only one made by Heliofont. That's a real movie. It's an animated movie, and it's just massively multi-layered. It's so much going on. Each scene is a timeline. It's very intricate. It's massively demonically inspired to tell you the birth of the Antichrist. In fact, at the end, you see the Antichrist coming out of the boat of Anubis, and he's born to the world. And that's what this is all about. And the Antichrist is Barack Obama, the lightning falling from heaven. Like Jesus said in Luke 10:18, he said, I see Barack Obama, lightning falling from heaven. And that's what Barack Obama in Aramaic Hebrew means, okay? So we have right here in the scene, oil dripping right here. This is the Strait of Hormuz. And right here you have spelled out rain. Okay, this is depicting something that happened in 2017, and that is a hurricane. But also, this is an anagram hiding. So there's a couple things depicted here. There's several things, actually. This is also the island of Hawaii right here. And there's several things going on. I'm not going to get into all that right now. This is a storm going on, obviously, with lightning, and this says rain. And then, but there's also an anagram of, did I already say what it was? Anyway, but I remember because this is Texas. That's an oil derrick right there. Okay, and this is Texas, and and I literally, just because I remember when this happened, this Hurricane Harvey, and they kept saying 40 plus inches of rain, 40 plus inches, even though it ended up being over 50. But I just recently typed in Google 40 plus inches, and that's all I did. 40 plus inches, because I remember they kept saying 40 plus inches. I remember back then. I was around during that time, and I remember all this. 40 plus inches, okay, and I typed that in. This is what came up, and the first example it comes up with Hurricane Harvey, and that's what this is depicting, because it had over 40 inches of rain, and that's rain. This is Hurricane Harvey, okay. Again, it was in Texas. It was close to Houston, okay, anyway, and then boom. So 40 plus inches is the first day, February 10th. And then also the death of the Antichrist on February 16th. Just switch the 2 and the 1. February 16th. You're going to see that timeline here soon. And then this is all about Hurricane Harvey. Okay, and again, it was in Texas. You see that as an example of Texas right there, and a lot of rain. And I've shared over 60 events in iPad Go that have happened since it came out in 2012, predictive programmed in your face, including Trump being shot in the ear. That's an iPad Go depicted, him being the president years before he became president, even for the first time, all kinds of stuff. Because this is all set by demons that are working in these artists doing this stuff, like Louis Lefebvre, who owns Heliofont and was the main animator for Gollum and a few other animated movies. The main character Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and Louis Lefebvre is Lefebvre, which is it looks like the February, and it's going to be in February. What a coincidence, huh? So anyway, Hurricane Harvey is 229 and 1374, and it just happens exactly equal. Barack Obama, and that's him being born on 210 and dying on 216, and that's a 0 in this situation. Take it away. It can also be some other stuff, but I'm going to get into it right now. And then 229 upside down and backwards is backwards 226 or 2026, or the birth of the Antichrist after the timeline, the first day of the tribulation, which is 225. Oh, 2025, 225. That's why I kept seeing 2025 a lot last year, because I didn't realize it was February 25th. So the 2 days that the Antichrist is going to be revealed to the world with his false prophet Francis, he's going to come back to life, is 226, February 26, 2026. In fact, 1374 is 13, 7 plus 4 is 11, 1 plus 1 is 2. So that's 13, again, 7 plus 4 is 11, 1 plus 1 is 2. So that's 213. Like I said, this has to do with the Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, and then it's also predictively programming this idea of Harvey, because it's all, everything behind this is all about this guy and his birth in this timeline. This is the first day, and this is the day he dies on 216. Now you're going to see this. I'm going to show this more. But if you flip that upside down and backwards also, you get 2 and then E1, or E is 5 and 1 is 6, and that's 2. That's 26 also. So you have, in a sense, right here, you have February 26, 26. Or you can flip this 2 and 6 again, boom, and you have February 9th, exactly backwards, February 9th, 2026, the first day. And there's February 10th. There's so many things you can do with this. Hopefully I made my point. But even so, we'll come to this. So this is not only predicting and programming Harvey in Texas years before it happened, because this came out in 2012, but it really was shown to a group. I was told by a 32nd degree Freemason that lives in the Southeast. I can't say anything about his family. He sent me all kinds of stuff about his family and who he was, to verify who he was. And I promised not to tell anybody ever who he really was. You'd know his famous family from the Southeast. Anyway, that's all I can say. And he said that they did a presentation, this guy from Canada, which Louis Lefebvre is French-Canadian, and he came and they said they showed iPad Goat, and they said this was the plan to make the guy who was running for president at the time in 2008, and that's when they showed this. He was going to be the president first, and then he's going to become the Antichrist. And they were all kind of arguing after they saw this thing, and it was an animated movie, and they're like, "This is the plan," and they're like, "Yes." And then it's also I've shown over the years how this coordinates to many movies and TV and all kinds of stuff. Him being the GOAT, the greatest of all time, or GOAT, God of all things. Newsweek once put him as looking like Shiva, balancing things, and it was the guy said GOAT, God of all things, which is GOAT, and this is iPad Goat. Anyway. So, Rain, again, this is about Harvey and everything, a bunch of predictive programming years before it happened. Okay, that's also an anagram for Iran. Okay, so IRRAAN, see? And this is the Strait of Hormuz right here. Okay, so, but the Hurricane Harvey happened, so some people will say, just use the year and say, oh, that Harvey that happened in 2017. But upside down and backwards, 217 is L102. Or L is 12, so 12, 1, and then in this case is a 0, take that away, and you have this direction backwards, February 12th plus 1, February 12th plus 1, and like I said, it's going to be the February 12th, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, and plus 1 is a reporting day when Iran's going to close down the Strait of Hormuz, it looks like that, okay, and that's also, again, 212 backwards, plus 1 is 213. So 212 and 213. When you have this, you have the rule of Kalel. You can take 1 away, so it's just 212, or leave it as 212 backwards, 212 plus 1, 213. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I showed this thumbnail, a similar version of this thumbnail on a video I did over a year ago, I think. More than a year ago. I forget, maybe it was a couple years ago. Anyway, but this is from from up above the Strait of Hormuz. This is what it looks like. And there it is. You see, they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz because the oil is going to just there's one drop of oil that drips in this video. Okay, movie, I should say. And the Strait of Hormuz is 242 and 217. I'm going to show you what those are in a second also. That's the middle date on the timeline. And this is the last date of the destruction of the United States on February 24th. But it also is that, and then flip it upside down and backwards. So this ends up being over there, and this ends up being over there. But if you go backwards, it's 2026, 2, 1, and then again we have L again, which is 12. So again, we have the same thing. 212 backwards plus 1. 212 plus 1. Now let's just flip this to the normal font because this is really upside down and backwards. But this font does okay showing it a bit, but most fonts don't unless you use the digital. But I don't. That's a lot of work to put all the digital in here because I got to do them one by one. But okay, so boom, that's what that is. Okay, see that? That's what this is. That's what this is. See, 1 2 1 2 2 6 2. See, so you got the 2026 212 plus 1 or 213. Okay, that's the same. That's in Strait of Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz, and there's all kinds of things. Strait of Hormuz closes. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's all predictive programming in upside down and backwards, and sometimes it's right side up like this and like this. But a lot of the big things are upside down and backwards or opposite or whatever. Okay, so we're gonna keep going here. Oh, wait, what did I do here? Oh, that's right. Okay. And then I color coded it so you can see a little bit better. Again, 2026, again, it's backwards, the year first. 2026, 12, 2, sorry, it should be 2. No, you could say this. You could go, you could say 12th of February plus 1. Okay. 12th of February plus 1. That's how we do it. Man, my nose is all of a sudden freaking out now. Okay. Love it. Love it. Sniffing a little bit here now for some reason. I hate that. Okay, anyway. So, and then one oil drop is 1 2 3 or 213. Again, we had, remember, 2 or 12th of February plus 1, or that's 13th of February, or February in the middle of 13. But even more than that, you'll see in a second how this is the days of the year left over on 12/12 or 12/13. Sorry. So here we go. Watch. So, and then this is also the same day, 12/12 and 12/13. Wow, 12/12. Sorry, February 12th and February 13th, 2/12 and 2/13 are the days, which is, again, 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3, and then 2/13, wow, I keep saying 12. So let me start over. 2/12 is 1 plus 2 is 3, the third day, and then February 13th is 1 plus 3 is 4. So we have the third and fourth day. And so this is also depicted in what I'm saying in my timeline. I've said for years that this guy's going to become king when this guy dies, okay? And I've been saying a long time that this guy would die and he wouldn't be king very long. And then he got cancer. Then the queen died, and then he got cancer right away. And now he's going to die very soon. And it's going to be, I believe it's going to be on the third day, whatever the timeline is. And then he's going to be announced on the fourth day, which is 2/13, but it's going to happen on 2/12, February 12th, that he's going to become the new king. He's the next in line anyway, and I told you he wouldn't be very long. And I said that, and that's going to be the case. You'll see. And so here we have the days of the year. 2/12, again, that's Abraham Lincoln's birthday, and everything about him has to do with death because he was assassinated. Okay, so that's the 43rd day of the year with 322 days left over. It's 322 Skull and Bones. Most people don't even know the day of the year. Most people don't even know that 2/12 is the 43rd day of the year. But then even more people, which is 99.9999% of people, don't even know that 2/12 or February 12th, it has 322 days left over. And that's the 322 Skull and Bones. That the Skull and Bones Society, or whatever you want to call them, they had multiple names, call it themselves, okay? And that ends up being he's 43 years old right now, and that's the 43rd day of the year. And then these two are related to these days in so many ways, because he's 77 years old. And watch, 7/7 upside down and backwards is LL, and LL is 12/12. Remember I just said that earlier? So if you go backwards, 12th of February plus 1, or just February 12th plus 1. This is February 12th plus 1 is February 13th. Again, 12th of February plus 1 is February 13th. Okay, so see how they relate to this? I'll give you another one. There's so many more, but I'm just going to give you a few. So King Charles III is his name, and he backwards, the 43rd day of the year, 43rd day of the year, and 43 plus 1 is 44. And that's another coincidence? Nope. And then when he dies on this day right here, then Prince William will be literally he'll be King William the Fifth, because there was 4 other Williams before him as kings. He'll be King William the Fifth, and that is 42 plus 1 or 43, and he's 43 years old. That's another coincidence. Nope. There's a lot more, but I'm just going to move on. Back to this again. There's 1212. Remember 1212. Remember he is 1212 upside down and backwards. 77 is upside down and backwards. LL, which is 1212, or 12th of February plus 1, or February 12th and February 13th. That's what I'm basically saying. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so again, we have this scene, and then we zoom in on this, and then one oil drop is 1, 2, 3. But what happens when this oil drops? It drops. It goes just one time. Do that with my mouth. Anyway, one drop, and then you see it builds the oil slick, and then it shows this right here. Look, do you see that? What's that? That's 3, 2, 1. Squint your eyes a little bit. A lot of things you can see better if you squint your eyes a little bit. 3, 2, 1. Again, what's 3, 2, 1? This backwards. One oil drop is 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1. What is 3, 2, 1? It is 2:13, the reported closing of the Strait of Hormuz, because the oil drips just to one drop. The closing of the Strait of Hormuz, the oil gets disrupted, and that's the day with 321 days left over. See, look at that. This stuff's all over the place. I have so many things I can't even show you. There's too many things to show you, and so many scenes on iPad Go that are all predictive programming. But it fits with this more than anything I've ever seen ever. Okay, again, so we have 2-4-26. I'm going to go back to that 2-4. Now remember, 4 is hiding 9. And 9 upside down and backwards is 6, and 4 upside down and backwards is 6. So 4 is hiding 9, 9 is hiding 4. So if we have 2-4-2-6, then 4 can also be 9. Okay, 4 can also be 9. Okay, so there it is. 4. So again, that's the pre-day to the timeline. 2-9 and 2-10. 2-9 is the pre-day, 2-10 is the first day. And there's a reason for the pre-day and the post-day and all that stuff. Because the pre-day is not, it doesn't start with a number 1. The pre-day starts with a 9, and then the first day, 10, take away the 0, and you have 1. And then the second day is the 11th. 1 plus 1 is 2. The third day is 2-12. 12 is 1 plus 2 is 3. Then 13 is 1 plus 3 is 4. That's the 4th day, 5th day, 6th day. It's all numerics. It's all in order. There's an order to it, okay? It's not just made up stuff that happens whenever. There's all these events that have to happen for different things to happen. It's almost like a chain reaction of events that are all planned. Okay, so 2-9. And then now watch this. Now, to confirm this 2-9 idea, 2-9's down here, and 2-9-26 is right up here. Okay, I shared this before, but then now I have an adjustment to it. So reports from Iran suggest 12,000 and possibly as many as 20,000. As soon as I saw this, I knew that this was programming people to what it actually is, because again, 0 is not always 0, it's O, it's hiding O. So you have 12,000 to 20,000, and you place these zeros with O's, and O is 6, for example. It could be 15 or 6, so we'll make it 6. Not only do you have 666 and 6666, and they're hiding that, but also you have, bring the 1 and the 2 down. 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18, and then bring the 2 down. 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 24. They keep going down. Bring the 1, bring the 2. 1 plus 8 is 9. Bring the 2. 2 plus 4 is 6. See how we're getting somewhere here? See, I thought it possibly was January 29, 26, but no. You just switch. This can be a one number, 29, or just switch the 29 and the 1, and you get boom. And that's 2-9 plus 1, 26. Okay, it could be a few different things, sure. Okay, but the fact that it actually matches up with this, the first 2 days, February 9th and 10th, or February 9 plus 1, this is very common because each event is 2 days. Because there's an event day and a reporting day, and also around the world, there's 2 days going on at once. So right now I'm in northern Colorado, and that's 1 day, but tomorrow, the date for tomorrow is right now in, for example, my brother Paul in Australia. Hey, brother. He's the next day. He's the next day after me. So there's 2 days going on at the same exact time. So everything is a 2-day thing. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So we have 2-9-26. Now I color coordinated these to make it the 9 and the 2 the same color now, because 9 plus 2 is 11. And then now we have another couple other dates. Again, we had one after When you have a 1 after something, you add it. That's like in Roman numerals. When you have, like if you have X and then you have I after it, that's 10 plus 1. But if you have an I in front of an X or 1 in front of an X, that's 9. So anything in front of it is minusing. So 2 and then 1 is minusing that. But in this situation, this 1 can also be removed as in rule of Kalel, or 1 can be a 1 or a slash. That's another thing. But see how a slash is just a slanted 1, and how that works with rule of Kalel, because this could be a 1 or a slash, and you can just take that 1 away like that. I can just take this 1 away, take that 1 away by doing like that. And then that makes a date. Or I can add it back in. Rule of Kalel, take 1 away, add 1. Take 1 away, rule of Kalel, add 1. See? So I'm taking 1 away. 216. Well, what's 216? There we go. And it's in this number. The USS Abraham Lincoln is CVN 70, number 72. And 7 is hiding 1 plus 6, the 16th of February. There's a chance it's not, but I'm saying there's a massive chance it is. And this is what this is programming this is going to be attacked on this day and reported on 2/17. Now, and is it a coincidence that USS Abraham Lincoln and English Sumerian? By the way, English Sumerian is 6 times English ordinal. English ordinal is A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. English Sumerian is times 6. So A equals 6, B equals 18, C equals 24, for example. Sorry, no. Wow, I went a little too far. A equals 6, B equals 12, C equals 18, and so on and so forth. Yeah, wow. Okay, it's been a long day. I've been doing this all day. USS Abraham Lincoln ends up being backwards February 9th and 10th. Or February 9th plus 1 is 10th, but we have literally right here, February 9th and 10th. It's crazy. Or you just take away you could take any 9 away anytime you want, because anything you add 9 to is the same. You have 210. Or take any 1 away from rule of Kalel, you have 29. So you have 29 and 210 several ways. That's a coincidence. And then also you have, what's the chance that the whole exact length of the Abraham Lincoln and most Nimitz class aircraft carriers are exactly 1,092 feet? Okay, USS Abraham Lincoln CVN 72 is a Nimitz class nuclear powered aircraft carrier with an overall length of 1,092 feet, and that equals an English Sumerian 1,092, and that's a coincidence? No, I think not. Also, it says down here that and it's roughly the length of the Empire State Building. And so we have Empire State Building, and that equals 29, or 29 backwards, or backwards 9th. 5 plus 4 is 9th of February plus 1. 9th and 10th. So you have 2/9, and you have 9th and 10th, or you have 2 9th and 10th right there. Or let's take both of these, or both of these are 1,092. Let's put this 1,092 there, and let's flip it upside down and backwards, and let's get rid of the 0. Say it's a 0. And so we have literally backwards 16th of February, which is a mirror of 16th of February. 16th of February, 16th of February, a mirror of that. These are a mirror of each other. 16th of February backwards and 16th of February right there. See, that's what's in here. This right side up is backwards 2, 9, and 10, and upside down and backwards, both of these, which are the same exact number, are upside down and backwards 16th of February, like 72, 16th of February. Hopefully that makes sense. It's crazy. Or now let's put this back to a 1. Again, rule of Kalel, you can add a 1 anytime you want. And now we have 2, 1 plus 16. And we're going to 2, 1 plus 16. Oops, sorry. That's 217. So again, 16 is 1 plus 6 is 7. So there we got 217. And so we said that I said that Abraham Lincoln is going to be destroyed on 216, and then reported on 217, and that's in all the numerology right here. And then we're running out of numerology as far as any kind of dates, because you can't. The last date is right here. 2, 1 plus 7 is 8, which is 2/8, and that is the Super Bowl date. Because 2/8 is hiding 2, 1 plus 7. Okay, watch this now. So this is Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Like I said, that was the 3rd day. Strait of Hormuz closes. Actually, even what I didn't mention yet was Zelensky gets killed, and nukes goes off, and Ukraine's because Ukraine's is an anagram for Nuke Ray, which is a town in Ukraine, and that's a full anagram. Ukraine is Nuke Ray, R-A-I, is a town in Ukraine. And a nuke's going to go off there. On the third day. And so this is the Abraham Lincoln's first birthday, February 12th, 1809. Okay, and then from that date to Abraham's coming up birthday this year, it just happens to be 217 years as of this February 12th. And that is the day of this big eclipse, this Ring of Fire eclipse, which is the reporting day of not only the destruction of USS Abraham Lincoln, but also Stinky BO, the Antichrist Obama, as I call him, and Trumple in New York, Stinky BO in Hawaii. He's going to die for some kind of head wound, probably they're going to say from some kind of Iranian proxy or something. And Trumple's going to be killed in Trumple Tower in Manhattan. And that's what all the predictive programming shows. And like I said, 217 is hiding 1 plus 7 is Super Bowl. Super Bowl is the day before the first day. The first day of the timeline is 29 and 210. 29 before 29 is 28. Right before it happens, the last big predictive programming event before 29 and 210 is 28 Super Bowl, and that's 1 plus 7 is 28. And this is the Super Bowl. See, it'd be a big bowl with the rim of the bowl facing you. Or here's annular eclipses right here, or Ring of Fire eclipses right here. And if you're not right underneath the path of totality, and you're off to the side, these are all super bowls. See, that's a bowl. See, that's a thin bowl. That's a big, thick bowl. These are bowls. These are super bowls. And the Super Bowl that Super Bowl has always been talking about, I believe, is February 17th, because it's exactly the middle of the timeline. Excuse me, man, my nose. I should need to blow my nose, but I don't want to pause this right now. So anyway, excuse me for my nose clogging up for some reason. Who knows? I've been having some issues with that, but anyway, okay, moving on. I might just get a drink real quick. That'll help a little bit. Okay, so these are Super Bowl. This is a Super Bowl. See, bowl. It's what this really intended secretly. Okay, Super Bowl. Okay, so that eclipse is right in the middle. The timeline is the pre-day is February 9th. If you know my videos at all, if you don't, there's a pre-day and there's a post-day, and in between the pre and the post are 14 days. It's 2 sections of 7 days, or 7-7. Remember, the King Charles is 77 years old. It's the first 7 days and his next 7 days. Or Trump equals 88. You include the pre-day and the post-day. It's the first 8 days and the last 8 days. 8-8. The sevens are also 7 plus 7, or because Charles is 77, that's 14 days of the timeline. That's also when Jupiter exited Virgo to make the Revelation 12 sign eventually 14 days later, because it's a 14-day timeline. That was in the heavens, and then here it's going to be a 14-day timeline with a pre-day and a post-day, because again, everything is 2 days. So that's a big reason why, because there's a number 1 and there's a pre-day to it, and then there's a last day and there's a post-day. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, so I'm going to show you how this works. So boom, these are the bookends to the center point. This marks out the reporting of the death of the Antichrist, the Super Bowl. Okay, so we have the bookends. This is a bookend, like here, see, bookend, see, there's a bookend here and the books are in between. See, the books are in between. There's a bookend here and the books are in between, see? Okay, so we have them right here. So this is the timeline. This is the Julian. Again, it starts at 128. And by the way, in iPad Goat, when there's the skeleton, which is Baron Samedi, which is, if you know the scene in iPad Goat, you have the skeleton, or Baron Samedi, the Haitian voodoo god of the underworld, and he's blowing a party favor. In fact, party favor exactly equals, in reverse English, 128. See, 128, and that's the first day. 120 is also 1. 2 plus 8 is 10. Take away the 0 is 1-1, or the first day. And the reason for the Haitian voodoo god is because Baron Samedi represents the Haitian Independence Day, and Haitian Independence Day is on same as New Year's Day that we're familiar with. And that's 1-1, or 128 is 1, 2 plus 8 is 10, or 1-1. And so it's hiding the real 1-1, which is 128. And then you add 13 days of that, and you have 210. Or 127 is the pre-date. You add 13 days to that, and you have the Gregorian date of 2-9. Hopefully that makes sense. So 2-9 is this third quarter moon. And then we have this Ring of Fire or annular eclipse. It's still in 2016. Wow. Yeah. It's still 216. And by the way, 216 is symbolic of the 216th day of the year when Stinky Bo, the 44th Prez, was born on this 216th day of the year, August 4th, and 216 is 6 times 6 times 6. So he's going to die on another 216, February 16th, and reported on 217. And he's also was born on 217, the 217th day of the year, because the 217th day of the year is August 4th on a leap year. A leap year, August 4th is the 217th day of the year. So both of these are his birthdays in a sense. Hopefully that makes sense. It's crazy. It's all about 666s and all kinds of stuff. In fact, I have a lot more I could share about that, but I don't have the time. How this all syncs to all the blood moons, the tetrad blood moons that happened back in 2014, 2015, and the ones that are going to happen in 2032, 2033. This timeline syncs perfectly. I just don't have time to get into that right now, but it does. So we have Strait of Hormuz, for example. Now it's going to be in here, but it actually equals 209, which is 29. And also, again, just like the Empire State Building, exact same numbers. Backwards, 5 plus 4 is 9, 2 plus 1, 9, 2, 9, 10. So 29 and 29 and 210 right there, Strait of Hormuz. Or the Strait of Hormuz, like I showed you earlier. I showed you what it was upside down and backwards. But also we have, 217. Oh, look, 217, the Super Bowl. And then 224 backwards, and that's right there. That's the other bookend. Again, this quarter moon is on 29, and this quarter moon, the other bookend, is on 224. The exact pre-day and exact post-day of this timeline, and 14 days in between of all these crazy events. You want to look at my events, look at the timeline pinned to the top of comments. And there's tons of events, and most of those I believe will happen, if not all of them. But several of them I'm seeing in dreams and visions, and other ones I just kind of deduce from all the predictive programming, reading it for years. So for example, you have this event, this closing, well, it says closing of the Strait of Hormuz, but the name in the name and versions of the name encapsulate the event that comes in the future, okay? Because it's programming you to an event that's coming in the future. Even if you do close, Strait of Hormuz closes, or all kinds of, it's all the numbers, mostly upside down and backwards. But the actual event is going to be right here. 212 it happens, and 213 is reported. Again, 43rd day of the year and 44th day of the year. And why is that significant? Because it's shown in iPad Goat. Because you have, again, Hurricane Harvey, remember in 2017, was in Texas. We had that oil derrick that was shown in iPad Goat. But we have Bush in iPad Goat spinning around. His head is spinning around. His arms are waving around like he is a hurricane. If you watch it, you'll see he's a hurricane, and he's from Texas. He's a Texas governor, and Harvey was in Texas. This thing that came out supposedly in 2012, which really came out in 2008, but it supposedly came out on June 24th, 2012, is depicting years ahead of time, 5 years ahead of time, this hurricane in Texas, because he was a Texas governor, and he's making himself a hurricane by spinning his head around and his arms around like a hurricane. Okay, and then that Hurricane Harvey was in August, late August, and then the exact opposite of August is 6 months later, and then is February. So again, they love opposites, backwards, upside down and backwards, all that stuff. So August, and then he also says, when he says, fool me once, fool me once, fool me once, that backwards I've shared for years. That backwards, played backwards, is August. And so August, so if you play him say, fool me once backwards, it's August. And then August again is backwards in a sense, or it's opposite of August, and it's February. So it's exactly 6 months later from August is February. Hope that makes sense. And then right from here, as soon as he's done being the hurricane, he morphs right into Obama. And then Obama's doing the Dr. Evil thing right there. And to prove that even more, Obama was born in August. We know this, August 4th. And the opposite is 6 months later. The opposite of August is February. And so he's going to be born as the Antichrist in February. Hopefully that makes sense. And then he's doing Dr. Evil. Now watch. What's Dr. Evil? Dr. Evil is backwards 210 and 29. 29 and 210. And when he's born in February, backwards February 10th, February 5 plus 5 is 10, and February 9th, that's another off the charts coincidence. No, he's doing these things, these symbols, these actions, all this stuff that they're doing. Even the people here are all telling you a story secretly that most people don't know, or they're trying to figure out. People that know this is a puzzle and all that stuff, and they try to figure it out. They know other people just think, oh, it's just a cartoon and all that stuff, even though it's a really very intricate animated movie, technically. Okay, and then he's looking up when he's doing Dr. Evil. He's looking up. He's looking up at the superb owl. That in occultic wisdom is the superb owl, and that's Super Bowl. He's looking at the superb owl, and that happens. He's looking back he's looking backwards. This is forward. That would be forward that way. He's looking backwards, and that's one day. So remember, Dr. Evil, and when he starts becoming the Antichrist, this whole process of this timeline is 29, 210. He's looking back at the superb owl one day to 28, to the superb owl. He's doing the Dr. Evil, and that's 29. And then this is his tassel. He's going to graduate when he flips his head forward. His tassel is going to go from the back to the front. He's going to graduate from the President of the United States to the Antichrist, the shark. And by the way, unfortunately, there's a penis on the chalkboard, and then there's stuff coming out of there anyway. And then that is the island chain of Hawaii, and this one is the fourth one, and this makes the eye of the shark, and that's Oahu, and that's the island that he's from, that he was supposedly born on, Honolulu on Oahu, and that Oahu makes the eye of the shark. And Oahu, it's really detailed. But anyway, and then there's 4 teeth on top and 4 teeth on the bottom. 44. He's the 44th president. He's graduating from the president to the Antichrist. The Antichrist is known as the land shark, like in SNL. The Antichrist is the shark that eats people on land. And he's also a shark. He's an evil thing that eats things and doesn't stop. Anyway, keep going here. And that's the eye. That's Oahu, basically. All kinds of stuff. It just goes and goes and goes. Okay. So let me keep going here. What was I doing now? Okay, so that's showing you that. Okay. And then again, right here, this is the when stuff really starts kicking off. The third day and fourth day is the 43rd day and the 44th day. And these guys are both in iPad Goat. The only presidents in iPad Goat, and they're exactly in order. The 43rd president and the 44th president, hiding the idea of the 43rd day morphing into the blending into the 44th day. Do you see this? He morphs into this guy. George W. Bush morphs into Barack Obama, and he's the 43rd president and going into the 44th president. And I'm telling you, it is the 43rd day going into the 44th day. And then again, Harvey was showing these numbers and all kinds of stuff. And the Strait of Hormuz closing is showing the numbers and symbols and everything else. Hopefully that makes sense. And then we have the 43rd day and the 44th day down here, because 13 days difference makes this 43rd day and 44th day down here the 2 days that begin. I have the TB is tribulation begins. Tribulation begins. So you have the timeline of events. In fact, Jesus called the time we're in right now, the wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes, all that kind of stuff. He called it the beginning of sorrows. Well, Jesus has told me a few different ways, a few different times, that this timeline he calls the height of sorrows. This is the height of sorrows, and then right here begins the tribulation. These are the first days of the tribulation. And this is on the Julian, which is 13 days earlier than the Gregorian. The same exact days, but they're just on a different date on the calendars, on these calendars. So the 43rd day of the year, 212 on the Julian, is 225, the 56th day of the year with 309 days left over. Anyway, and again, 225, 226. So now let's go over here. Boom. And so on the Gregorian, February 25th and February 26th are the 56th day and the 57th day. 56 and 57. What does that have to do with this guy? And why is this under him? Because this guy is not only the 44th president, he was the 43rd and he is the 44th. This guy was also the 56th and the 57th inauguration of a president. See, when he was becoming the president, the 44th president, which is, I don't think is actually technically accurate, but that's what most people believe. And so that would, see, it doesn't matter what's technically accurate exactly. It's what the masses have been told. So if I say something, someone go, oh, this is not really the truth, whatever. It doesn't matter. It matters what the masses believe and what they've been told. That's what matters for the predictive programming. So whether you believe that we're on a ball or we're on a flat thing or whatever, and all kinds of stuff, it doesn't matter. It matters if you care about your own personal about truth and all that stuff. But as far as talking about this kind of stuff, only thing that matters is what the masses have been told, and I'm showing you how you're being programmed by them, and that's what matters in this context. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so he had the 56th and 57th inauguration of president because he's going to become the Antichrist on the 56th and 57th day. And the reason why stuff really starts kicking off, the first couple of days, there's not a lot of big things. There's some things that Trump does. The things Trump's going to do with the Abraham Lincoln, I believe, on 2/9 and 2/10, is probably going to attack Iran on the 2/9 and 2/10. And there might be some stuff on 2/4, like I said. I'm not sure how it's going to go exactly because I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know the future, and I don't really need to know the future. I'm trying to decode what they're showing in their stuff because, trust me, they communicated with each other and they show each other all the time. The Lord showed me that. And they can, if they know if you know this stuff, you can start decoding what they're doing and none of it's organic. It's all pre-planned. It's all controlled behind the scenes. It's crazy. So 56th and 57th inauguration of a president is the 56th and 57th day. And again, 226 is one of those days because again, everything is a 2-day thing, the beginning of the tribulation. And so this is crazy. February 26, 2026, or 226. Okay, that's insane. Okay. And that's another reason why I know what this is. It's also 4 6s. Because 666, this is showing there were 6 years, 6 months, 6 weeks, and 6 days in between the Great American Eclipses that X'd out United States and the one that happened already, and then there's another one's going to happen. I showed you the balance of this in previous videos. I can't get into it right now. I probably should have mentioned it. Anyway, whatever. And then again, also right here. We have 322 days left over. So Skull and Bones is this day when things really start kicking off. Again, we have nukes going off in Ukraine. We have the attack on Trump's family. I believe Melania and Barron are going to be attacked, most likely killed. That's why there's a movie of Melania that's out right now. And it's there's a bunch of hints of it being her funeral and all kinds of stuff. It's crazy as heck. And she had a book that was black and white, and she's worn veils anyway, just so much. And then right here, so that's 322 Skull and Bones right there. And then the tribulation starts off with 212, which is the 43rd day of the year with 322 days left over. And again, 322 Skull and Bones was a club at Yale that this guy belonged to. This guy and his dad, the 41st president. Oh, wait, let's go back here. There it is. The 41st president and the 43rd president, the Bushes, belong to 322 Skull and Bones. And there's 322. The days left over on the day 212 that starts the tribulation, and the days left over on the day that really starts kicking off attacks on the United States and things in the United States. And even Ukraine, the nukes that goes off in Ukraine, as I say. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so boom, boom. And then 212, the 212, the 43rd day of the year with 222 days left over. Again, Prince Charles is 43 years old, and they are synced to this 322 also so many ways. In fact, King Charles, he had remember the portrait done of him that was all red and everything, looked like he was in hell. And if you turn it upside down and backwards, you can see how his head looks like a skull and his fingers look like bones. And that's 322 Skull and Bones. And I also did a mirror of that one and then mirrored it underneath. And then you could see Moloch because he's going to be sacrificed to Moloch. All kinds of crazy stuff. Okay, so 212 also is 226, which I showed you Obama is 229 backwards. 226 is 2 and 2 sixes, or the year is 2 and 2 sixes, which is 212. So 212 is also 2 and 2 sixes. That's crazy. All this stuff is so many things. It's so many things. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so again, this Super Bowl or this annual eclipse or this ring of fire symbolizes the death of the Antichrist. And look at this. We have this depicted with this woman, and she is a version of the Virgin Mary. And then this is a version. This is a version of the dead Christ like figure. Okay, the boy, the Arabic, well, I guess Arabic boy, whatever you want to say. Okay, and that this is both Trump and Obama, because this depicts Hawaii, and Obama's going to die in Hawaii, and this depicts New York because of what's on him. And many other things. It's on her head. It's on her face. I've shown this over the years that 44 and 45, as in the 44th and 45th president, are on her face. Her head and her arm are the Lombardi trophy. I'm going to show that in a minute here, which I've showed for years. So this is really covering the February 16th and 17th, even though it happens on the 17th. But it doesn't also. It literally happens for a little while on 2/16 in Hawaii. In Hawaii, it's the 47th day in Hawaii for a little while, and then it becomes the 2/17, the 48th day. So in Hawaii, it's the 47th day for a little while. Okay, and so normally you see in UTC time, and it would be 2/17. But if you take it all the way back to when it starts, it begins in Hawaii on 2/16. So this covers both days, 2/16 and 2/17, because it starts in Hawaii. It's crazy. And then look at this. You think this is a halo, but no, this is a red ring of fire, because fire is red, or it can also be orangish or whatever. See, that's hinting this is a ring of fire on this day. It's hinting this day. Telling you. And then right here, to show you that this is not only Obama, because it's this is Hawaii right here. This is also lava flowing down here. I'm going to show you the full picture in a second. There's so much in all this. Too much to explain. There's just too much. I've shared over the years. I just can't do it in a video. Hopefully I can do this in less than 2 hours. At least this. So this is right here. This is NY. This is a small N and a Y. NY for New York. And N is 14 and Y is 25. So now we're going to take 2 plus 5 is 7. And then now what do we have right here? We have the 47th day. Rule of color, take away the 1, 47th day right there. And then 1 plus 47 is the 48th day. Again, the 2 days of the eclipse, and it's right there, and it's hiding in NY. Also, you flip 147 upside down and backwards, and you have L61, and L61 is 1261, or it's flip that like that, and we're going to go 216 plus 1 is 217. 216, the death of CKBO and Trumbull and the USS Abraham Lincoln, and the reported day of those, 217, which is symbolized by this, the Super Bowl, the rim of the bowl, Super Bowl, 216 and 217. I'm telling you, this is crazy. And then this is symbolic of the Pietà. This is the Virgin crying over the death of the Christ, but this is the false Christ. This is the whatever. She's also sitting in a shell, so she's the birth of Venus by Botticelli, and that's also numbers, and I could show you all that. It's crazy. I'm just going to deal with this. This is the Pietà, version of the Pietà, the dead boy on the Virgin, whatever. This is not really the real Virgin, but whatever. Okay, and then, so watch this. So we have the Antichrist here. His head is modeled from the Pietà. This is the Christ this is Jesus from the Pietà, and look how he's modeled from that. The little tiny little facial hairs, the little goatee that's sort of a beard kind of thing, and then the hair that's pulled, and see how the part and everything, if you would have pulled this back and put it in a ponytail, whatever, that's what this would be. That's him. And so this is the Michelangelo Pietà Jesus, and that's 2, 9, and 10, or 2, 1 plus 9 is 10, or take away the 1 is 2, 9, and anyway, this is 2, 9, and 2, 1, and 0 is 10. 2, 9, and 2, 10. Okay? It could go either way, different ways. And then upside down and backwards, it's backwards 216. The death of the Antichrist, because he's really no Obama. and represents the death of the death of the Christ. He's the false Christ, but normally because he had a crown of thorns. Jesus had a crown of corns. Did I literally say a crown of corns? Man, I've never done that. I don't do that. A crown of thorns, but this is a crown of barbed wire. This is a crown of barbed wire for the Antichrist figure. And so watch this. Boom. Well, before I do that, well, sorry. This not only is this Michelangelo Pietà Jesus, is what this guy is the first day, 2:9 and 2:10, and it's also upside down and backwards, the death. And again, the crown of thorns represents his death because he got it when Jesus got it when he was going to be killed. Okay, so this represents his death. Okay, and that's upside down and backwards 2:16 when he's going to die. Okay, Sigibio and why he's going to die from a head wound, and his head's being wounded right here, kind of. Okay, so also Michelangelo Pietà Jesus is 229 and 1374 again, which is Barack Obama, and he's going to die on that day, and that's the day. I mean, that's his name, and that matches 100%. And he matches all kinds of stuff like a school shooting and earthquake and comet, and I mean, his name is in a few different ways, in a few different forms, is all kinds of horrible disasters. Train derailment. Remember years ago when all these trains were derailed in the United States for a month and a half or 2 months, and then all of a sudden you don't hear about it? Train derailment equals Barack Hussein Obama. I mean, tons of things, bad things, and different things like I just showed you. Hurricane Harvey is the exact same numbers as Barack Obama. Anyway, let's keep going. So a crown of barbed wire is 1110. There's a number of things going on in here, but I'm going to show you a couple things. 1 plus 1 is 2, and then 10, the first day of the birth of the Antichrist. And then also 1110 is Donald John Trump. So they're both going to, I just showed you how this Michelangelo Pietà Jesus equals Barack Obama, but also this is also talking about the death of Trump as well, because in all these things show both their numbers, both their details. It's crazy, but one's going to come back to life. That's depicted by the boy coming back to life, and the other one's not. Okay, because one's just a tool to use to get people into World War III, and the other one is going to be a martyr, so-called, and they're going to have sympathy for the devil, and he's going to come back to life. Okay, so anyway, so that's 2, 1 plus 1 is 210, 210. Both of these are that. Donald John Trump and crown of barbed wire. And also, remember 2 and then 1. Remember 0 can be O and O can be 15 or 6. So if O is 6, it's 216. Again, the death of the Antichrist on 216. And again, the barbed wire around his head symbolizes coming death. And then this guy is traveling on the boat, and you're looking at it from up top, and you see him like that without even realizing it's that. Again, crown of barbed wire equals 216 and the first day 210. Hiding from you and everybody else. Okay, but that's a ring of fire. That is the eclipse. It's right there. Okay, and okay, there it is. So again, the death of the Antichrist, and then we also have in this one here, okay, I was going to show you here. This is water, but this is lava flowing. And I've shown on the 7th day, and now it's been last month or whatever more, Kilauea has really been going off. It's been shooting up fountains of lava, 1,400 feet high, even almost 2,000 feet high and all that, because it's getting ready to overflow and go across Hawaii again like it did in 2018. And that's all predictive programming for the first day, 128 on the Julian, and all kinds of stuff, and what's coming. So this is an aircraft carrier. This is Abraham Lincoln aircrafft carrier. You see the angles. Hopefully you can see the angles match in a lot of different ways. There's so many different things I've shown in the past, and I'm showing this again. This is the Nimitz class aircraft carrier. This is Abraham Lincoln, for example. Okay, and that's what it's secretly showing, the sinking of the Abraham Lincoln. And even more than that, this is pointing to his beard, the bottom of his chin, or his beard. Bottom of this. Now we lighten this up, and then I will flip it this way, and hopefully you can see. But here's his nose, mouth, and beard. He has no mustache. He has no mustache. Nose, mouth, and beard. This is Abraham Lincoln, bottom of his face, and that's upside down and backwards on this aircraft carrier shaped thing that's sinking, which looks like some kind of rock monolith coming out, but it's hiding the idea that it's a sinking aircraft carrier because it's predictively programming you as you're looking at it without even knowing what's going on. Okay, that's why they do this stuff. That's why this is so intricate, because it's trying to program you on what's coming without you knowing. So but you're agreeing to it without even knowing. Okay, so hopefully you can see that nose, mouth, beard. This is Abraham Lincoln, bottom of his face. In a sense, it's a, kind of a or cartoonish version of it, but whatever. That's upside down right here on this aircraft carrier shaped looking thing that's capsizing and sinking. Okay, I'm telling you, believe it or not. And then if you turn this image sideways, okay, you have a 2 right here, because everything begins. I'm saying some event will happen on 2/9 that Trump will do, because he's over there right now, and pretty soon there'll be possibly something on 2/4, February 4th, but most likely 2/9 and reported on 2/10. Some with Abraham Lincoln possibly it attacking, or us attacking, then Abraham Lincoln eventually being destroyed on 2/16, reported on 2/17. But right here is 2. There's a 2 sideways, and right here, a lot of people can't see it, but it's a 9, and that's sideways. I'm gonna bring these over. So this 2 is 2 right there, and then this is a backwards 9, but it's showing the outline of it kind of. Now I'm gonna flip this like that, and that is a 9. With negative space and then a negative space kind of highlighted over there. This is a 9 right here, 9/29, or February 9th begins it, and then eventually you have all this stuff in the face, and even on her burqa or whatever it is, it says here cave, which is the numbers as well. I'm not getting into all that right now. As I've shared for years, I was thinking it was all the way back to Super 57 that it could be showing all this stuff, and then I just had the wrong year, and it is showing all this stuff. Her head and her arm are a Lombardi trophy. In her face, it's a backwards D and a V, as in Valentine's Day is when the first major attack happens in the United States, and then and that's VD, which is 4. V is 2 plus 2. It would be V. 2 and 2 is V, but 2 plus 2 is 4, and then D is 4. 44th president. And then N and M is backwards 45th. This is backwards because the D is backwards up here, so you read this backwards. 44th, and M is 13, but 1 plus 3 is 4, and N is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. 44th and 45th president, and in between is a mushroom, and right here is an upside down black cloud, or a mushroom cloud right in here, and the mushroom cloud will go off in Ukraine, but we'll have another attack on New York. This also shows details of New York as well, and a mushroom cloud going off in Manhattan. And I'm not going to get into all that right now. I'm just telling you, it's all in here. There's so much in here. It's crazy. This stuff's all over the place. If you can't see that some of this is in here, just go somewhere else. I mean, seriously, go somewhere else. If you can't see that some of what I'm saying has some validity to it, and this stuff's not hidden in there, if you go, oh, this is just just a cartoon, and you're just getting focused on all this evil stuff, and even something that doesn't matter, whatever, just go somewhere else. Okay, this is for people who have a brain and can see some things. I'm sorry, but if you can't see some stuff, if you don't know that the world and the things you watch are programming you, man, you need a checkup from the neck up. You need to wake up. You need to get your head out of the sand. Stop getting used to sucking down gravel and sand in your mouth, and just pull your head out, would you? I mean, seriously, you need to pull your head out. I'm talking to people who are negative about this stuff that I'm sharing. If you can't see the stuff in this, that this is programming you, then just, again, go somewhere else. This is my house on YouTube. Even though YouTube is a very bad landlord, they really suck. I mean, they really are bad. This is my house. If you have any negative things to say on my channel, you're deleted in 2 seconds. Deleted. Bye. Later. Okay, I'm done. I'm ready for this stuff to happen. I've been dealing with this too long, and I'm not getting taken care of hardly at all. And I'm tired of this. I'm really ready to be with the Lord. I'm doing my best to save people and warn people, and I'm doing that. But I have no patience anymore for people that are negative and say, threaten me and all kinds of stuff, call me a false prophet and all this stuff. Hey, I've been showing all this stuff, and it will be proven right. You'll see. Most of it will be. The Lord's promised me this. He's shown me. I've seen it years and years ago. Years and years ago. It's just what it is. So I'm over it. I'm over the negative people, the jerks out there. You need to move on. And if you say any negative stuff, you're gone. Bye-bye. Anyway, moving on here. So, again, this is the death Okay, symbolized by that. That's a birth, this is a death, and this is a rebirth. Birth, death, rebirth. And there's a number of things going on here. This right here is a first quarter moon, okay? And I've been saying this for a while. It's been a while since I covered this because I haven't had this line up perfectly like this ever. And I've been looking for this to line up on this last day, and it finally did. And I didn't think it would. I thought maybe it was just symbolic. But you had that dead boy on the Muslim woman or Arabic woman, whatever, and then you have him coming back to life out of the mosque that was destroyed. By the way, that's a mosque I've shown. It's in Turkey. It's a specific mosque in Turkey, because they, down the street from that mosque, they literally do this whirling dervishes. These whirling dervishes do their thing. And I've shown how it's exactly next to the square, and it matches exactly an iPad goat. This is the mosque that's going to be bombed and be attacked on the 7th day / reported on the 8th day, the 16th and 17th. Okay, but anyway, he comes up, and it looks like a lot of people would think this is a full moon, but it's not, because the markings do not match. This is a full moon, and you notice the markings right here. There's a lot on the top up here. There's a little bit there's some negative space down here. There's not much markings right here. It does not match this at all. And if you look, you see these dots right here, these like 3 dots and a dot. They're kind of right here. So if you were to flip this like that, it's more like it. You see the dots down here, and because we know that they flip things around or they're opposites and all that. But then you have all this dark spots over here and all there. And then when I was looking at this years ago, at first, when I first started really looking at this, I realized, oh my goodness, this is what I think it is. And then I looked it up. This, okay, and now we have all the different views that you could have from the moon that we don't even have. We have the near side only. And then the far side we never see, which is almost all light. There's a spot here, and there's a darkened area down here. And then we have the east side, or the right side that we'd be looking at the right side. The view, this is the view from the sun. Okay, this is the view from the sun. And then we have the left side. Okay, so what we're seeing is this, basically. What we're seeing is this. We're seeing the whole right side. So we're seeing a 1/4 view, the first quarter moon. So you see these dots right here, and they're right there. So a better situation would be like that. That is lined up with that, and just imagine that this is all lit up. So this is from the sun. It's really that, okay? And that's really over here. But if the best way to see it, I'll give you an example of it, is like that. And then this is all lit up in a sense. So when we're seeing a first quarter moon, that's what it's showing there. So he comes back to life right here, and it matches perfectly. And I've known this for years. And again, right here, whirling dervishes are the practitioners of Sufism, a mystical branch of Islam who perform the Sema, a meditative spinning dance to achieve divine ecstasy and closeness to God. They're completely demonically inspired. I mean, and I've seen these guys. I mean, they go in a trance. Anybody that goes in a trance, it's a demon and they spin perfectly. It's crazy. And people think this is some kind of real thing. I mean, it's a real thing, yes, but it's not good. So you're taking the demon, and this thing is just spinning you around. And it's supposed to give them like a big high and all this stuff. It's not good. It's not good at all. Okay, so again, you can either, be inspired by the spirit of good or the spirit of not so good. And sometimes people think that's good, of course, because of their different experiences that they have. And I understand all that. But when you're being taken over by a demon, there's going to be consequences. There's going to be all kinds of things in your life that they don't share, of course. But when you're taken over and that thing just spins you, and they don't move at all, and they just spin and spin and spin and spin. I mean, what's the purpose of that anyway? It's not beneficial. When I have the Spirit of God and I heal people, or I pray for them and they recover, or all kinds of things that have happened in my life when the Spirit of God is in me and it involves in other people's lives and all that stuff in positive and amazing ways, there's benefit. This spinning in a circle is like you're just going in circles. You're just going. You ever had someone say you're just going in circles? That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Anyway, sorry, I'm a little feisty today. So I'm sorry. I'm ready for this to be. I've been doing this so long and I'm not getting taken care of. I just have a few people that have been supporting me, but most people have dropped off, and I am just, this has got to be the end, because I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to be with the Lord. I'm ready to fight for other people in a different way. Man, I am ready. I'm going to be like a freak off a leash when the Lord lets me go. Wow. Okay, let's go. So that's what this Whirling Dervish is. Whirling Dervishes. Now watch. Believe it or not, Whirling Dervishes is 20929. And there's 29 the first day. And I showed you what 29 was. A few 29s already. 209. And remember, it's 209, which is February 9th, the first day. Or it's 209. Okay? So it's 29. And again, 29 is the opposite of this. They love opposites. So if you're talking about 2-9, you're talking about this, you're also talking about this. You're also talking about the last day. First day and last day, they're opposites, okay? So you're already talking, when you're talking about 2-9, you're already talking about 224, okay, because they're opposites. But, however, it's 209. 209 is also 209, and O is 15th letter. So that's 215 plus 9 is 24. And look, we have 224. 224 right there, hiding in 209 or 215.9 or 224. So it's 209 right there and 224. The bookends in Whirling Dervishes. That's why they show this. They're not into this. All this stuff is not about Whirling Dervishes, or it's not about dead Muslim boys or women that are crying about their Muslim son whatever. No, it's about programming, about the birth and death of the Antichrist. They just show you symbols and all this stuff. They mean gematria, and it means all kinds of different things, and you got to figure it out. And most people, a lot of people have been trying to, and I think I finally figured it out. So for the stuff that matters, okay, we'll see. We'll see. Again, 224, 29. The pre-day and the post-day. Bam. That's amazing. And then what does this kind of look like? This kind of reminds me of both of these, yin and yang, or yang and yin. Yin and yang and yin. Look at that. Boom. That's a lot of reason why we've been programmed with yin and yang kind of things, like twins, like dark and light, like you watch. I mean, how many movies and shows you watch now where there's a white guy with a black lady, or a black guy with a white lady? I mean, it's like inundated. And they're like, oh, let's let's make it all equal. That's fine, okay, but when you're pushing in someone's face because you're programming them, that's different. It's different. That I see it all over the place. It is constant programming, the black and white thing, and the twins and all that stuff. It's all over the place. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so this is also in the actual first scene. Well, there's a scene right before this, which I'm going to get into in a second, but this is like the second scene, basically, or whatever, part of the first scene, whatever. iPad goat, and then watch this. I'm going to do a mirror of that. This is going to be mirrored like that, but then I'm going to make it bigger so you can see a little bit better. Okay. Again, opposites. This is opposite. It's a mirror. So what happens right here? You have Feb. Because this T upside down and backwards is an F, and then you have E upside down and backwards is E, or that upside down and backwards is E, and then B, Feb. And then I is 9. Oh, February 9th. Well, what's over here? That's E, O, wait, first of all, let's do this. I, or 2 is Roman numerals II, which is 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. Or 1 plus 8, let's just deal with this. 1 plus 8 is 9. In this situation, we're making a 9, okay? And then E and O is 5 and 15. 5 and 15. Then we have 9 and F, 9 and 6. 9 and 6, okay? Now we're going to color coordinate this. Boom. So we have February 9th over here, and then 5 plus 15 is 20, and then 9 plus 6 plus 9 is 24. So we literally have the birth of the Antichrist, the rebirth of the Antichrist, and the final death of the United States. February 9th, February 20th, and February 24th, or 20 plus 2 plus 4 is 26. So we have February 9th, 2026. It goes in a few different ways. So we have the birth, rebirth, and then death of the United States, or a rebirth again of the Antichrist going to 25th and 26th, whatever. But this is all in here. And the fact that this ends up being February, I mean, seriously. Okay, let's keep going. Then this is where it first starts out, and then you get to the goat sticking his head out. And with the goat sticking his head out, that's the Antichrist being born. So again, we have the Antichrist being born, lightning falling from heaven, Barack Obama on the 20th. Okay, so he dies on the 17th, and then, or reported on the 17th. 3 days later, kind of like 3 days like the real Christ, is the 20th. Okay, 20th and 21st, really. But the 20th is depicted right here, hiding right here. Okay, so he would pop out of the hole and break out of the tesseract, this plane of existence, out of the cube, and break out through the hole on the 20/21st. And then right here we have this, it's supposed to be, I forget what they call that, but when you have an electric fence, you have this little ceramic like knob thing here, but that's hiding this eclipse. I'm going to lighten this up. That's this eclipse. That is the 17th right there. That's that annular eclipse right there, the Ring of Fire eclipse right there. And then just a little bit after, this is right in the middle of the whole thing because it's moving. These floodlights come on right as it passes over this, and there's a timing there. It's crazy. Then this is the sun behind the moon, and then we have the moon, the sun in that, the moon having a little sliver right here on the side. And what is that? Watch, we're ready? That is literally a blend of this amount of sliver of the moon lit up and this one. That's the 20th of February and the 21st. And you see, this thickness of this is not quite this thin, and it's not quite that thick. And the reason why is because it's midnight of the 20th going into the 21st. And that's what I've said for a long time. Midnight would be, if I were to pull up, which I can, and I have, the sliver of the moon at midnight of the 20th going into the 21st, my time zone, because the clock tower is in the mountain, and it's, I'm not going to get into all that right now. But that is the sliver right there. Look at that. It's crazy. And then he pops his head out, and that's the Antichrist, the goat, the God of all things, or the greatest of all time, popping his head out of the control of the tesseract. And anyway, this is crazy. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. And then we have floodlights are there because it's predictive programming, and it's also gematria, because it's 2 in the middle of 17, and that's when that is. That's that annular eclipse, the Ring of Fire, is on 2/17, and you see floodlights because it's telling you that's what this is. Or 6 floodlights. It's exactly 6 floodlights, which is couple things, but 179 upside down and backwards is 6L1, or 612-1, or backwards 1. Or sorry, we'd do it this way. 16th of, you can go into, let me just do that. Oh, wait, I go back. 216 plus 1. So it's the death of the Antichrist plus 1, or 17 plus 9 is 26, the year. So we have either 216, let's go back. 216 plus 1, 216 and 217 backwards, or we have the year. 17 plus 9 is 26. So 216 plus 1, 26, all hidden in this. And that's 217. 2 in the middle of 17, that's coincidence. And that's the annual eclipse right there. And that is the exact shape of the crescent moon that's in between the 20th and 21st of February. I don't think on exactly that side. I think not. So we even depict this in the iPad Goat, where she's in the middle. So this is in the middle, and over here is a moon, and this is also a yin and yang kind of symbolish. So the yin and yang moon, remember that was on the 9th. This is the only figure back here that looks exactly round, because it's looking down, and these ones look kind of oval or look more like a head. Okay, like this is whatever. This one looks like a moon, and this happens to be exactly to the left of her. And then if you go straight across here, there's another one. It's not a moon shape, but it's got other predictive programming there, because that's Kennedy shot in the head. These are all presidents back here. This is Obama. This is Trump doing the triangle. Let me go back. This is Trump with his hair parted right here, and that doing the triangle thing when he sits. There's Reagan back here, he talked about aliens at the UN, and there's an alien head looking thing. There's the bushes are attached with the same name, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, that's a yin and yang moon that's the 2-9, and there's also all kinds of things. This is upside down 7, which is an L, and L is 12, and 12 is 2 plus 10, or 210. So that's 2-9 and 210. And then you go across here, and then there's other things over on this side that would show this. This is the center point. This is the first moon. Again, this is a yin and yang moon because it's a third quarter moon, and then over here would be a first quarter moon. But stuff like this is Kennedy assassinated because he's shot in the head right here. See, Kennedy assassinated is not only 209 because again this is the opposite of that. That's 209 over here, but it's also, like I said, 209. O is 15 plus 9 is 224 right there. 224. Kennedy assassinated. That's what it is. He even wears the sneakers like Kennedy wore as well. He wore Converse and promoted those as well, and all that. He did a sneaker run and all that stuff in the 60s. Anyway, or maybe in the 50s and 60s, I don't remember. There's all kinds of stuff. And then also this whole Kennedy assassinated is 19 letters and 2 words, are 2, 9 plus 1, 2, 9 and 10, which again is over here, opposites as well. Anyway, that's what this is, I'm telling you. Okay. And then we have Super Bowl. Okay, this is a Super Bowl. Okay, most people don't know, and we're talking about this one, I believe. This is what we've been talking about for so many years, and you've been programmed by watching football games and all kinds of, wow. So we bring this down here, 131 and 112, and flip that upside down and backwards, and we have this. Now we'll color code these. 2, 1, 1. 1 plus E plus 1 is 1, 5, 1, or 7. So I'm going to bring this one down 2 and bring back both 1s. And 1 plus E is 5 and 1. 1 plus 5 plus 1 is 7. See something here? Again, 1 can be a 1 or a slash. 217 is the exact date of this. See? And then it's called the ring. Oh, by the way, the Super Bowl is not on 217. It's on 2. 1 plus 7 is 28. And because that's hiding 2, 1 plus 7. Super Bowl, this is the Super Bowl. And they call it a Ring of Fire, annular eclipse. Ring of Fire. Well, Ring of Fire, this happens to equal, again, Barack Hussein Obama. And that's another coincidence? I think not. And then 163 is 16. It can be 16. And 3 is hiding 1 plus 2. And so 16 plus 1 is 17, or 16 plus 1 is, so we have 216 plus 1, or we have 217, because 16 plus 1 is 17, then we have a 2. See, 16 plus 1 is 17, then we have a 2, and that's literally Ring of Fire on 217, and we're not talking about that. That's not the one we're talking about when all these things point to the same numbers. And there's a lot more I can show you, but I'm not going to make this a 5-hour video. And see, there he is, the character in the iPad Goat Obama winking, and there it is, the eclipse right on his face. And by the way, all the characters have this eclipse on their face, on their cheek, and cheek is the numbers too, but I'm not going to get into everything. Look at that. There it is. See? It has nothing to do with him. Please. He is the Antichrist, peoples. I'm sorry if you don't know that. I have over 1,000 plus solid evidences, and nobody else comes close. He's the Assyrian. The Bible talks about he's a guy. All these things came from nowhere. He was a senator for a couple of years and then became president. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It matches. He's the only one that matches all the biblical description, and I have over 1,000 plus solid evidences that he's the Antichrist, and nobody else comes close. Nobody, no candidate on the planet that I've ever seen, including Trump, which is a white guy. He's not an Assyrian, and all kinds of things about him. He's setting up a lot of things for him, and he's going to strengthen the covenant that Trump started setting up, like this stupid board with peace. Trump at Davos at the World Economic Forum set up his board of peace because they're bored with peace. They're bored of peace. They want World War III. So you see the tongue-in-cheek thing there? The board of peace. And he had a certain amount of, I think 10 or more countries signed on. But eventually, after Trump dies, he's going to bring everybody on and or whatever it ends up being, whether it's the Abrahamic Accords or some version of it altogether. And he's going to bring everybody because Trump is going to be gone, and he's going to strengthen it. Like it says, the Antichrist would strengthen the agreement. So there's an agreement already made by somebody else, and then he's going to strengthen it, bring everybody into this agreement. Try to anyway. So this is crazy. So I want to thank you, everyone who's watched this, and I thank you for sharing this because, man, people need to see this stuff. They need to see what's out there and what's coming eventually. And I believe this is, I am pretty confident this is it finally. Again, it's my best guess though. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know the future. I know Jesus, and he's given me all kinds of breadcrumbs on the trail, and all I can do is give him the codes he gives me, because he doesn't tell you straight out certain things are going to happen exactly on this date and all this stuff. There's no point in that. It would be pointless. So he does it for all kinds of reasons, that he hides it from everybody until it's about to happen. So I think this is about to happen, and we'll see. So thank you everyone that's ever supported me, positive comments, everyone who have ever given to me and my family. And by the way, this is how I support my family, and we're way behind on everything. And that's what it tells me we have never been in this situation. Only from the last couple months, I owe people money, and there's reasons for that. Probably, I think the Lord is working that out, that I owe them, so they owe. So they've given me money, and people giving me money, people I owe, things like that. It's just crazy. I've never owed anybody money for years and years and years and years and years, but he's having me do this because it's not coming in. I'm not getting supported. And so it must be that it's about to happen. And that's another reason why. It's just crazy. But some of you have supported, and that's how I'm able to stay alive, my family and I. And so I thank you, but it's just, I'm sorry, but it's just not, hasn't been enough. And if this doesn't happen, I'm probably going to stop. I'm going to have to do something else. I cannot sustain any longer. If this doesn't happen, I literally can't sustain any longer. So people are not contributing like they should, and a lot of different people are not. And maybe I should do something else. And so I will, probably, most likely will, if this doesn't happen. So anyway, I want to thank everybody who's ever supported me. I know this is coming, and hopefully this is it. So also, if you're able to give at all and keep us in food and things like that, we really need it. We really, really need it. There's links in the description box below for PayPal, even ZellePay. You can sign up at ZellePay.com. I also have a P.O. box and all that stuff. It's all underneath the title here in the bottom in the description box. So thank you. Also, everyone who's ever prayed for us, and we also cover your prayers. My wife, and my 4 children. This is how I make a living for them. I mean, this is what the Lord wants me to do, to warn people up to the last moments before this stuff starts happening, and that's what He's wanting me. He won't let me do anything else. I mean, if you know anything about Jesus, and if you know Him at all, I mean, He'll have you do missions and do certain things, and I've been on a mission for this, and this is what He wants me to do, and trust Him the whole way. And so I'm doing that at a lot of cost, at a big cost to a lot of things in my life. And so I put all my eggs in His basket, so eventually something's gonna come out of it. Thank God. And I've always wanted to warn people about what's coming, since He showed me this stuff 10.5 years ago, dreams and visions and things, and hopefully more than I think are coming. So, in understanding this. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. This is Exalted Lamb 1. God bless you. Over and out.